Hello everyone and welcome back to the Toby channel for another Fantasy EFL preview video. This week is game week 30 of the season and it's another massive double game week. These double game weeks are coming thick and fast now. Every single week is a massive opportunity to score a huge amount of points, a bit like I did last week. More on that later. We've got a very exciting video this week. We've got Fantasy EFL Sam on the channel for Experts Corner, who is the world number 41 and he had a great year last year as well. It's a really good section, so stick around for that later on. But first, let's find out how we did last week because I'm very excited about it. So let's not waste any time and let's get into it. So a quick recap of game week 29, and as you can see, I am so happy about how the week went. We got 144 points, which is the most that we've scored in the game week this season. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that I've got near that many times this season, so I'm so happy with it. We shot up so far in the rankings. It was like really late in the 5Ks, about 5.1k we were in ranking. We're on to 3.9k now. Yeah, just absolutely huge. Finally getting out of that 4k range that I'd just been stuck in that for so long and not being able to better that. So I'm so happy with it. We said that the top 1k is our aim, and I do actually think it's possible. I think I probably have to gain about 100 points or so on the people who are around there, which is definitely doable. It's not, out of the realms of possibility, and that would be some comeback if we could do it. This week's given me a lot of hope. I'm so happy with it. It was just huge. As you can see, the captaincy, we ended up moving from Patterson completely. I did post about it on Twitter, so if you're not following me, X is FEFLTIPS. I'm probably going to change it pretty soon, I'll be honest, because I'm not really a tips person these days. Not very good at them anyway, apart from this week. But yeah, I posted about it. A few MK Dons fans were saying that they think that he really needs a rest and that he'd really been struggling. They were questioning why Paul Warne was still playing him. And apparently Paul Warne had said in his last interview as well that they need to manage his minutes. He ended up getting injured in that first game, getting subbed off early. And I thought that he probably would get rotated anyway, even if he wasn't injured, because just it seemed like he's been a bit sluggish. He did end up missing a penalty as well. So it's a huge swing. I feel for the Patterson owners because I was so nearly there, so nearly on captain like a lot of people were. Drinnen didn't get an awful lot more points, but it was at least more than I think Patterson only got 2 points in the end. Captain, we ended up going with Nelson from MK Dons, who got 2 clean sheets, so super happy with that. 19 points from him, doubled to the 38. If you went for Lewis Wing, fair play to you, especially if you captained him, because he was, the elite captain this week. I don't think many of us would really have captained Perry NG, but he ended up getting 2 goals and an assist. Before last week, I'd only had 2 defender goals all season. I got 2 more, taking my total up to 4 in the season, which I still don't think is a very good job in terms of defender goals. But we went for an attacking defender and it actually worked out. So happy with that. Fred Onyedinma got a goal midweek as well for my Wycombe boys, who unfortunately had a pretty bad week. I don't want to talk about the ending of that game. But yeah, Charlie Whittaker not quite doing too well. This is my only real complaint, is that I swapped Knight for Whittaker in the morning that game week 29 started. If we hadn't done that, Knight got a mega haul and I would have finished on 160 points. We lost 16 points because of that. But you can't win them all. We went for NG, we went for Nelson, stuck to our guns for the most part. It probably goes to show that my thinking when I record these videos is probably at its clearest in terms of my team selection. And I feel like the team that I pick in this video tends to be the better one. And then it's just the overthinking the couple of days after that gets to me. So I'll try and stick with my team as much as possible, because yeah, that Knight goal would have been so much better. But I suppose the Patterson swap really helped us out this week. So yeah, no real complaints apart from the Knight thing. But I just can't complain, can I? With how good that team went. So happy with it. It's given me a new lease of life in Fantasy EFL. So yeah. Let's move on to this week and let's try and replicate that success again. Oh, and I forgot to say as well, I was first in the Wycombe League rankings this week, which is so good. And I think I was 156th overall in like the whole games rankings for the week. So happy with how that went. It was also my birthday week. It was my birthday on Monday, so a perfect birthday present. And yeah, super happy with how this week went. Get in there. So the key information for double game week 30, and I feel like I'm saying this every week, but the key information: hit subscribe, guys. Hit like if you haven't done already, and hit subscribe. I want to hit 75 likes on a Fantasy EFL video. Can we do that? Is it possible? I don't know. We've got really close in the past. Let's hit 75 this week, guys. And yeah, hit subscribe if you're not already. don't miss any of these fantasy EFL videos. We're the hub of the FEFL community, and I love all you guys so much. So thanks for all the support. It means a lot. And yeah, hit subscribe. Let's hit 1,000 together this year. I think that we can do it. Anyway, the key information for this week, outside of you being subscribed to the channel, is that all the championship teams are doubling. The 6 League One teams doubling, which is Stockport, Bradford, Burton, Northampton, Rotherham and Port Vale, and then 4 League Two teams, Barnet, Salford, Accrington and Shrewsbury. So yeah, I think that it's actually a really solid week, and one where you could probably use your max captain. I think especially some of these championship fixtures are just insane and they look so good. So could be viable to use it this week. I'll probably wait for the Easter weekend because there's all 92 teams are going to be doubling that week. Not 92, 72, sorry. Getting ahead of myself. We can't include the Premier League teams. That would just be too crazy for game week. But yeah, there's the key information. A lot of teams doubling. 34, I believe. Is that quick maths right? I hope so. And yeah, a massive game week and one where you can use your max captain. If you don't know who to captain and you feel like your team looks good, why not use it? Onto the club picks for this week that we're liking the look of, and I actually think that it's such a close call this week. I don't think that there's, especially the second team outside of who my favourite is, I don't think it's clear who that's going to be. The one team that are my favourites are Middlesbrough, but the rest, I think there is just such an open, field of picks for the week. I actually wrote down 13 different teams on my initial shortlist as to who I was thinking about including in the video. So that just goes to show how many different options there are. So if I've missed some of the teams that you like, feel free to mention them in the comments, who you're looking at, who I haven't included in here, because there's so many viable ones and I probably did think about them but just didn't really have the room to include loads. And it's such a close call that I think that there's maybe 5 extra viable options that aren't included here too. So we're going to go through who we've got written down anyway, and I'll talk about Middlesbrough in depth now to start with because they are my favourite team for the week. They play Oxford and Leicester, who are 22nd and 23rd in the table. So outside of the Sheffield Wednesday fixture, these are the 2 best games in theory that you probably can get. I know Leicester have got the points deduction, but they're still not doing well at all. And Middlesbrough are having an excellent season, and they're really similar to Lincoln. I've not given Middlesbrough the credit that they deserve, and they've had a really excellent year. Their data is far better than it was at the start of the season, so I really feel like they're definitely a viable pick. The defensive data is really good. The attacking data isn't outstanding, but it's definitely not bad. And yeah, 9 clean sheets is okay. I think they probably have deserved a couple extra ones in there. And yeah, 7.5 average points in the last 6. I just think Middlesbrough are an outstanding pick for the week, and they are nailed to be in my team. It's just then who's going to be joining them. And I'm also thankful that I've got loads of Middlesbrough picks left over because I've kind of shunned them a bit this season compared to what I should have done, which I do regret, I will say. So yeah, definitely got them to use a couple times from now to the end of the season. We'll go through the rest of the picks. The most popular one, but none of these picks are massively popular. I guess that there's either a really open field or people haven't changed their teams too much yet, given that they were midweek fixtures. Millwall against Portsmouth and Birmingham, 2 home games, 7.5 average in the last 6. Millwall are definitely up there as an option for the week, and that 12 clean sheets is massive. The defensive data, 1.2 expected goals conceded per 90. It's not bad, but it's not outstanding. But it just goes to show that Millwall are one of those teams that have a bit of metal and they have it in them to grind things out when games get tough. And I think that Millwall have a great shout at going up. How good would it be to see Millwall in the Premier League next year? That would be insane. And I think they're really not a bad shout for the week. Salford, they've got an away game in there, similarly to Stockport too. We'll talk about them together. Both of them have like one fixture that I probably prefer to the other one. The Wigan fixture for Stockport scares me a little bit because they might have that new manager bounce. And then Salford away at Cheltenham. Salford's form hasn't been perfect recently. 4.5 average in the last 6 for Salford and 5.2 for Stockport. Neither of them are outstanding, but they're both still very good teams, and the fixtures are pretty decent. Salford's attacking data is exquisite, it's amazing. 1.64 expected goals conceded per 90 is out of this world, but the defensive data lets them down a little bit, whereas Stockport are a bit more steady at the back, but they've not quite got that free-flowing threat that Salford do have. I think they're both valid picks, and I could see them both winning both the games, but also if they slipped up, nobody would be like, there's no way that Stockport drop points to Wigan when they've got a new manager. I don't think we'd be surprised, and the same with Salford at Cheltenham because they're so inconsistent. So both worth considering, but both do have their caveats. Norwich is a pick that I really do like, and it just feels a bit rogue because obviously Norwich are down towards the bottom of the table, but their form recently has been so good. They've got the best average points in the last 6 than anybody on this list, with 8.2. The Birmingham fixture is a bit scary, but the Sheffield Wednesday one is obviously just probably the best pick that you can have in the game. So I do think that Norwich are a really viable one, especially given the form they've been at. I wouldn't be looking at their defenders. 1.5 expected goals conceded per 90 is atrocious, although a lot of that did obviously come earlier in the season when they were a worse side. But I do think they're a decent team pick, and I could see them scoring a lot of goals, especially in that Wednesday game. You'd really hope that I would say that's like an 80-90% chance that they win that game against Wednesday. It's just then the Birmingham game that's a bit scarier. But I really like that pick. Southampton, both their games against Charlton and QPR, I think they'll probably be the favourites to win in them. The defensive data for Southampton isn't amazing, but their attacking threat has been consistently amazing throughout the whole season. They have lost Adam Armstrong, but they've got a couple of replacements up front, like Kyle Larin, who are more than good enough, replacements to be able to step into that role and do well. And Stewart as well, who's been waiting in the wings for his chance. I think he's a quality striker at the Championship level. So I think that Southampton's squad is very good, and I think that they could definitely win both those games. Feels like a nice pick to me. And Accrington is my big differential because a lot of people have slept on Accrington, and a lot of people have been hurt by Accrington in their picks lots of times this season. Accrington are not a bad side whatsoever. They've got themselves up to the middle of the table, and at the start of the season, it was looking like they were really on the ropes. They lost Ben Ward, and they've seemingly not really been affected by that too much. They've got such a young squad, but such a great togetherness, and I think that Accrington have a chance at winning both those games, especially both of them being at home. The Shrewsbury fixture is excellent. The Barnet fixture does scare me because Barnet are in really nice form, and they're one of those teams who just missed out being on the list. But I think those fixtures are nice, 2 home games. Accrington have a great shout for a couple of wins this week, and 10 clean sheets is really nice, although the attacking data is not all inspiring and the defensive data isn't perfect, but they've just got a way of getting results at the moment, and they're in really nice form with a 6.5 average. So I don't mind Accrington, and it's not taking away from any of those big teams you might want to save the picks for later on in the season when they've got a better double game week. Honourable mentions, Stoke. They've got basically the same fixtures as Middlesbrough but reversed. Excellent fixtures, but I don't think they've won in their last 5 games. I still think because of how good the fixtures are, they could be a decent shout, but just not good enough to include as one of my main teams. And then Bradford as well, the fixtures are okay, but I'm just not sure with Bradford at the moment. They've not shown amazing consistency quite like they did at the start of the season. I don't think they're the worst shout in the world. So many different options in there. For me, I think it's definitely going to be Middlesbrough. And then it's, do you take the risk on somebody like a Norwich or back a side a bit higher in the table who feel a little bit more stable? Now moving on to this week's defenders section, and as you will see, we've got differentials galore for the defenders this week. I don't think it's necessarily the strongest defender section that we've ever had, but there's some really nice picks that could go under the radar and that are worth thinking about. All the players that I've got listed here are under 1% owned, which is crazy that I found 7 of them that are just probably my 7 favourites for the week, and they're all under 1%, which that is absolutely crazy. And I know that there's Dean Gripton, who uses only players under 1% in the 1% club. He'll be loving this section this week, so shout out to Dean. But yeah, let's check out some of these assets that we've got written down. First of all, we've got Ethan Pye from Stockport. I don't think that Pye's really had the recognition that he quite had last year as an asset. Still a really good player, and a 5.1 average isn't bad. Over the last 6, it's not been amazing, but playing against teams like Wigan and Burton, who haven't been amazing in front of goal, I don't think it's the worst shout in the world, although there's probably assets that I feel a bit better about, but I really don't think it's terrible. Tanganga. Now with Tanganga, I just love the Sheff Wednesday fixture. I think that Sheffield derby is on the Sunday, so you then get an asset in that Sunday, which you might want to be able to look at. It gives you something extra, something exciting to be watching. But the Coventry fixture is obviously terrifying. Coventry haven't been in an amazing form, but they're still a very good side, and Haji Wright is just coming off the back of scoring a hat-trick, so having a defender against him is terrifying. But the bonuses are pretty solid, and Tanganga, I've never minded his goal threat. I always feel like he's a decent threat from set pieces, things like that. So don't mind Tanganga just because of that Sheff Wednesday fixture, and then maybe the Coventry game is an extra bonus on top of it. Garbot, his attacking data is incredible. for Salford. He sometimes takes penalties, takes set pieces too. I think that Garbutt is a great shout in terms of a defender, and his bonuses aren't awful too. Like, he's averaging at least a clearance point per game, his tackles and blocks aren't bad, so I think that Garbutt is a decent shout given those fixtures. It's just that Salford's defence really isn't good, and they concede quite a lot of goals, so you kind of got to tread carefully, but the ceiling is really, really high given how good the attacking data is. Ash Phillips from Stoke, he's actually had better bonuses than Wilmot, hence why Phillips is in here, but I think Wilmot's got more overall points because he's played a few more games than Phillips. But given the Leicester and the Oxford games, I think that Stoke are a great shout for at least one clean sheet. Phillips, when he's been playing, he's already got 10 clean sheets to his name, which is a really, really good and healthy tally. His clearances are pretty good. There's not an awful lot of goal threat there. He's never been, much of a goal scorer in his short career so far. But because of the fixtures, if you want just a pure fixture play, I think that Phillips and the Stoke defenders are a really, really nice option. Next up, Caleb Taylor, an ex-Wycombe boy, so had to include him, of course. This Taylor pick could have been Cooper, it could have been Kramer. I don't think there's an awful lot between them all, but Taylor's actually had really, really good goal threat this year. He scored 3 for Millwall, and he's got 2 assists in only 21 appearances for them, which is actually excellent work. Portsmouth and Birmingham both being away at Millwall, I think that there's a decent chance of clean sheets there, and Millwall are one of those defences that you never feel like a clean sheet is off the table. His bonuses are okay, they're not the worst in the world at 5.6 average clearances per game, so I really don't mind it. Taylor's average points is 6, which is really, really good, so I think that Taylor or Cooper or Kramer, all 3 of them are really good picks for the week for Millwall. Rawson at Accrington, his bonuses are insane. 12.3 average clearances per game. This guy's 0% owned, and he's got 2 home games, one of them being against Shrewsbury, who are really struggling. The Barnet game isn't ideal, but it's not the worst. He's only played 18 games, but he's got 5 clean sheets in those games when he's been playing. 6.6 average is just such a good tally to be on, so I think that Rawson is a fantastic pick, and there were times last season when he was a really nice one for Accrington as well. I think this is one of those weeks where Rawson is a really nice pick, and really stepping up after Ben Ward has left for Reading. And now Malander at Middlesbrough, a January signing for them, come into the team, played 7 games, got 3 clean sheets. Oxford and Leicester, the excellent fixtures that they are. The bonuses aren't terrible, and his goal threat so far has actually been really nice. So I think that Malander at Middlesbrough is a very, very good option. And if you're wanting a bonus hit in Middlesbrough defender, then I would be looking at him. I think that Britton and Target, the fullbacks at Middlesbrough, are both really, really nice picks too. They've both got near enough identical attacking threat on the left and the right side, so it's just up to you. If you want that more aggressive play, that more attacking play, then those 2 still look really nice. And I think that Harwood Bellis, given how good Southampton's fixtures are, is also a really nice play too. So that's where we're at. I think it's so even in between all of the defenders. I just really like the look of Rawson. He's probably my favourite one there. And then who ends up partnering him, whose team I go for the goalkeeper for, I'm not quite sure yet. You'll find out later on in my team reveal. But that's where we're at for the defenders, and some really exciting differentials this week. Now onto my Game Week 30 midfielders section. Here is how we're looking for this week. There's a lot more big hitter names involved than the defenders section. We've got some of those really, really popular players in here this week. So let's not waste any time and talk about Ollie Norwood first. Norwood hasn't been quite his usual self since he came back from injury. In his last 6 games, he's only got a 5.8 average, which for the normal, for an everyday asset, that actually is a pretty good tally, and you wouldn't be turning your nose up at that, and it looks like they're an option. But given it's Norwood, feels like he's dropped off a little bit. Did rely on those penalties for a lot of his data, his attacking data earlier in the season, and he does kind of need those to be the asset that he is, and he is still on penalties. There's always the chance that they win them, but without them, is he quite the incredible asset? I'm not sure. I think that it's a very good option for the week, and the fixtures are nice. The interceptions are always decent, and there's so many key passes for Norwood. But I just think there might be a couple assets who are a bit more exciting than him this week, but never write off a Norwood mega haul. It's always possible. If he gets a penalty, if he gets 2 penalties in a game, then he's absolutely cooked. Imran Loser at Watford, just having a quick look at him. Similarly, I think the penalties are what draws you to Loser. But then Kayembe's been playing and he's taken penalties when Loser's been on the pitch in the past. So I'm not sure about Loser for the week because I'm not entirely convinced that if Watford win a penalty, he's going to be the one taking it. Of course, the key passes and the shots on target are insane. His open play attacking threat is actually pretty solid too, although he's playing a little bit deeper than he was playing earlier on in the season. The interceptions are always going to be decent and his average is excellent. A 5.3 average over his last 6 is still pretty good, like I said with Norwood, but just not quite his usual self. I think there's more fun picks this week than Loser, but I just think it's worth talking about him and Norwood. And they're definitely not bad picks whatsoever. You know what you're getting with them. You're probably likely for a couple interceptions. You've got the odd chance of a penalty. It's possible. But as I say, I'm not entirely convinced Loser will be on penalties. So I'm probably going to avoid him for the week. It feels really brave because if he ends up taking the penalties, you could be on, the end of a real thumping from him. Anyway, on to Hayden Hackney, and I love this pick this week. I've never really looked at Hackney too much this season. I feel like I've spoken about him a few times, but I don't actually know if I've picked him in my side. I think this week is a really, really good week to pick it, and his scoring's been really good. 6.2 average over his last 6 is very good going. 4 goals and 8 assists for the season. 63 key passes and 22 shots on target tells you everything you need to know about him. He's so involved in what Middlesbrough do. And yeah, the interceptions aren't bad for a pretty attacking player, but they're definitely not quite as good as the Norwoods and Losers. But I think his ceiling's so high, he's a very attacking player and his form's been good. I really like the look of Hackney for the week. A player with probably the highest attacking ceiling that we've got out of all of these is Finn Azaz. 0.56 expected goal involvements per 90 is insane. His form recently has tailed off quite a bit. At 4.7 average over the last 6 isn't ideal, but his attacking numbers are still really good. He gets a lot of shots on target. He's definitely got a mega haul in him. And with 2 home games against sides who aren't the best teams in the Championship, I think that Azaz has a really nice high ceiling for the week. Matu Siwa, this guy is just calling my name this week. I think I'm definitely going to be putting him in. 2.09 interceptions per 90 is insane. His scoring out of just interceptions recently has been crazy. There's near enough no goal threat with him whatsoever. 0.06 expected goal involvements per 90. I wouldn't be expecting an attacking return from him. It's possible. He's had 20 key passes, but you're not going to expect it too often from him. 7.5 average in his last 6 is insane. I think that Matu Siwa is such a good pick for the week. Terry Devlin, we've got to talk about it because somehow the interception guru just became a goal-scoring menace this week. One of the goals that he scored just deserved jail time. I think it was against Charlton, their goalkeeper. It was such a bad mistake. So I was fuming because I was quite big on Devlin last week and I did genuinely think about it. Didn't go for it, but one of them was an absolute rocket and fair play to him. I wouldn't be expecting screamers from Terry Devlin every week. As you can see, 0.19 expected goal involvements per 90 isn't perfect, but it's a lot better goal involvements than Matu Siwa gets. So it's possible. He scored 5 this season, but from 10 shots on target, so just beware. But the goal involvements, it's definitely not bad. And if he was a defender, you'd be saying he's a pretty attacking defender option. Riley McGree now, this is the guy who I've got so much to say about. When he started games for Middlesbrough, his point scoring has been so good. He started 8 games over the season for Middlesbrough. I think he's had a pretty tough time with injuries, but in those 8 starts, he's had an 8.8 average in points. And he's had 4 11 plus pointers in that time. 11, 13, 15 and 18 points. This show, that's half the games that he's started in, he's hit 11 plus points, and some of them are mega hauls. He has had 2 1-pointers as well in those starts, so beware of that. And I think because of injury issues, his minutes aren't quite nailed. But if he starts that first game, I think he got 90 minutes or like 89 minutes in his last game. I think that if McGree starts that first game against Oxford, he's going in my team and he might be my captain because of how good he's been when he started. His attacking data is nice and the interceptions aren't bad whatsoever. Shout out to my mate Tom, who's an Australian. He just sings this guy's praises all the time. He loves him so much and keeps up to date with him. So that kind of gives me a good feeling about McGree as well. Really like the look of him for the week. I think that Hackney's, nearly equally a good pick, and his minutes are a lot more secure than McGree. But I've got a great feeling about McGree. He feels like an exciting asset. He's going in my team this week, and I think there's some really exciting midfield options. Onto the Game Week 30 forward section now, and we've kind of got used to in the last couple of weeks there being some real outright front runners in terms of the forwards, but this week I think that the field is a lot closer together, and there's some interesting differentials, and there's no real clear winners as to who the best options are. Wootton is the highest percentage owned striker that we've got on here, but it's only at 3.1%. I think the Wigan and Burton fixtures are really, really nice. He's been scoring well in his last 6 games. He's got 14 goals to his name for the season, and the shed load of shots on target. So I think that Wootton's a great pick. I don't think his XGI is incredible, but he's really not a bad pick, and his shots on target show you that. I wouldn't be put off too much by the fact that his XGI is pretty low. I think that Wootton is a nice pick. The only thing about him is he's probably not going to be on penalties because of Ollie Norwood. On to Haji Wright, who's come off the back of scoring a hat-trick against Middlesbrough, who, you know, it was a battle of it was second and first. And I think that Middlesbrough, had they actually overtaken Coventry, or it was like really close in the standings in that game, obviously Coventry cementing themselves as the first place team with that result. But I was so impressed with Haji Wright. One of the goals was assisted by Rushworth, by the way, which was a crazy Route 1 goal, but it was a great finish, and Wright is just such a great striker. I think he's finally got back into the rhythm of things that he was at the start of the season. The West Brom game's nice. The Sheffield United game isn't the worst in the world. I just feel like those Coventry attacking assets, they could hit a mega haul against anybody in the league, so I don't know how much the fixtures matter. Would feel better if they were at home, but I still think that even away, they're pretty nice, and the 8.2 average over his last 6 is incredible going. And it's not just come from that hat-trick, he's still been scoring goals and getting some nice hauls outside of the hat-trick points too. McBurney at Hull, we've spoken about McBurney so many times in detail over the season. 6.5 average in general, but also a 6.5 average in his last 6. He's pretty consistent with his attacking threat, his XGI threat, and his goal threat as well. I think it's 12 goals and 6 assists in 22 games, which is really, really good going. He's not quite been as electric recently as he was earlier on in the season, well, a couple of months ago anyway, before he got that injury, but I still think that McBurney is a great pick with 2 home games. I think that you can't really go wrong with that. On to Morgan Whittaker now, and I just wish that I had more slots for Middlesbrough, players in my squad, because I love him as a pick. I love Conway as a pick as well, who we'll talk about in a minute. But starting with Whittaker, he's had a great season here. He had such a bad start with Middlesbrough, and I remember him getting booed by the fans. They weren't happy with his performances. Fair play to him, he's responded so well, stepped up for them, got 11 goals to his name for the season. Which isn't quite like the outgoing striker asset that you could have. I'm pretty sure he plays on the wing or maybe as a 10 for them sometimes. My Middlesbrough knowledge isn't perfect, so I apologise if I've offended any of you there. But still, the attacking data isn't awful. 0.35 XGI per 90 is okay, but there just are more attacking assets who have a higher ceiling, I think. But still, 37 key passes is amazing, and that probably shows that his positioning helps those key pass points a little bit, and the shots on target are still really good. I think that Whittaker's a good pick. Tommy Conway we'll talk about straight after him because they're both the teammates. I feel like Conway's kind of got the higher ceiling out of the Middlesbrough attacking picks. He scored 4 in his last 5 games, 0.4 XGI per 90. He's a little bit better than Whittaker. He's only got 7 goals to his name for the season, but obviously a lot of those coming recently shows that he's in really good form. His key passes have been really, really good. His shots on target are nice too. I feel like Conway is the hat-trick potential asset for Middlesbrough, and I could genuinely see it happening in one of those games. I think that they're really nice fixtures. It's just, do you take away a Middlesbrough defender or a midfielder to find room for him? There's other viable forwards, so maybe there's just not room for him in your team this week. But equally, if you can find a way to get him in there, I think it's such a nice pick. But Potnick's got 15 goals to his name. I've always written him off a little bit because of how low the XGI data's been, but he's just consistently scoring goals. He's ticking along nicely. He's got 2 home games. He's just the main man for Swansea. So I just think that in any given Championship double game week, if he's got a double, especially at home, he's a great pick, and you can't really go far wrong with Potnick. And then finally, our big differential is Beasley. We just keep scoring. Somehow this guy just keeps scoring goals for Burton, having a fantastic season. The fixtures do probably put me off completely. Luton and Stockport are 2 really tough games. I'm not expecting much in the game for Burton, but they've pulled off a lot of upsets this season. They love a big result against the big sides, so why not this week? And if you want a real big differential, Beasley really has a nice ceiling and he could score very nicely. He's got a 6 average in his last 6 games, which is still pretty good. Honourable mentions to Agimang as well for Derby. He's been in very good form and been such a good signing since signing for them. And then Toure at Norwich as well. I think he might have come off last game with an injury, but he did get a hat-trick. He's been playing so well recently in such good form, and he obviously had that iconic interview as well. So I think that if Toure ends up being fit for the game, then he's a great pick. But I'm not sure how bad the injury is, if it looks like he's out for a long time or not. If there's any Norwich fans or anybody who knows, then please do let us know down below. But if he's fit and starting, given how good their fixtures are, I think he's a great pick. A really open field, 4 forwards this week. I'm liking the look of Wright. I feel like he's just one of the big hitters who can't really go wrong, and he's shown that he's got the big ceiling. But all of those picks on there are such nice options. Gather around, everyone, and welcome back to the Experts Corner. I'm super excited to have Fantasy EFL Sam on. Super Sam back with another section. The world number 41. Sam is such a key character within the Fantasy EFL community. I love having him on. He gets a bit of stick from some people, which is undeserved. Give Sam a bit more love. Go and follow him over on Twitter if you haven't already. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get into a real expert section and hear who he's got this week.
Hello guys, I'm Sam and I'm on Experts Corner for this week. Before I begin, I just want to say a massive thank you for Toby for the opportunity, and don't forget to like and follow. So let's begin. In goal, I've opted for Middlesbrough shotstopper Solbrin. With 2 favourable home fixtures next in Oxford and Leicester, I really like this pick. Middlesbrough have kept 4 clean sheets in the last 5 at home, and since new Oxford manager's taken over, they've only scored 3 goals in the last 7 matches. The second fixture is Leicester. Leicester, one of the lowest XGs away from home in the league, which makes me really like Brent. I think he's probably the best keeper for this next round. In defence, I've opted for Ashley Phillips of Stoke. Stoke have Leicester and Oxford too, and I think the reasoning is the exact same. Targeting 2 poor teams with solid bonuses as well for Phillips. Stoke have the joint most clean sheets in the league and may not be on the best run of form, but I think with these next fixtures, I think they can easily turn it around and get a clean sheet. Second defender at set piece taken and more of an attacking pick is Salford's Luke Harbert. 3 goals and 3 assists this season and 2 favourable fixtures v 2 sides who are poor offensively. Cheltenham is a bit of a hard fixture as Salford are away in this one, but the offensive threat is great, which makes me really like him. The second fixture is a lot better. They face Shrewsbury Town at home, who have only scored 2 goals in the last 5 away matches. Despite beating Notts and Swindon at home, I don't think this should put you off guard, but I think Shrewsbury away are very weak and Salford can dominate them and dominate this match. On to midfield. The first pick is Finn Azaz. Southampton have improved and 2 home matches makes me really like Azaz. Southampton are a side who scored quite a lot of goals and have fixtures to easily do so in QPR and Charlton. 7 goals and 4 assists for the midfielder this season. I think he can easily better that with a few goal contributions in the next 2. Charlton have been leaky away and QPR struggled to keep clean sheets on the road too, which makes me really like this pick, and I think the captaincy can easily go on him for this next round. The second midfielder is a differential pick, and I think this is probably my favourite pick in my team, is Andre Brooks of Sheffield United. A top informed player with 4 goals in his last 5. A Sunday pick as well, so we have fantasy on a Sunday. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday at home is the best fixture, and in a derby, expect Blaze to take no mercy and try and hammer them as much as they can. The second fixture is tricky in Cov. They have been leaky as of late with only 2 clean sheets in the last 10 matches, which makes me really like Brooks. The third midfielder is Alfie Doughty of Millwall. Set piece taken and key creator with 2 favourable home fixtures for the all-rounder. 15 key passes and 6 interceptions in the last 5 makes me really like this pick. Portsmouth have a lot of injuries and are extremely vulnerable. Millwall are a top team at the Den and are very dominant, which favours Doughty. Not much goal threat, but a top differential that ticks over nicely across 2. In striker role, I've opted for Carl Wootton. Stockport face 2 poor teams in Wigan and Burton, and Wootton has 15 League One goals this season and can easily score through this next 2. In the last 5 home games, Carl Wootton has scored 5 goals. Despite not being on penalties, I really like this pick because of the shot volume and the chances that he will get. I expect Wootton to get a lot of chance against these 2 teams, and their goal involvement is highly likely. So on to club picks. The first club pick I've opted for is Middlesbrough. They've only lost 2 in their last 10 at home with 3 wins on the bounce. The second club is Southampton, unbeaten in the last 5 games and 2 good home ties next, making them easily be able to extend this run to 7 unbeaten. That's all. Thanks for listening, guys. Good luck to you all, and show Toby some love too.
Some extremely kind words there for Sam, so shout out to you. You're a legend, much appreciated, and I really like the look of the team as well, especially that Brooks shout that you mentioned as well. I listened to Sam's voice note that he sent over with his team before I made this video, and I thought do I kind of cheat and put Brooks in as one of my midfield options? I thought, no, we need to give Sam the credit he deserves, because that just feels like such a nice pick. His form has been really, really good. I love the Doughty pick as well, and good to see that Sam is feeling similar with the defence picks that we are looking at too this week. So, loving the team, Sam. Thanks so much for having on and for your lovely words too. And yeah, good luck for the week. Here's how my team selection is looking for the week, and as you can see, there's a few similar picks to what Sam was, but we've also got some very different ones. I don't feel awfully settled on it, that's why we've got a really, really long watch list, but I'll quickly just run through. We'll go through the Middlesbrough assets first, because we've got 3 of them, technically quadruple Middlesbrough this week. I wanted to get a defender asset in there because their defensive data is really good and they've got very nice fixtures. I don't quite feel confident enough to like double up or captain one of their defenders. I don't think that the bonuses are really there to do that, but there's obviously a massive ceiling with the likes of Britain or Target if you wanted to go there. But Malander is probably my favourite of the actual defenders, but I just feel like Phillips and Rawson fit in there. Legree, as you know, I was singing his praises earlier. Really like him as a pick this week, and the team pick just feels pretty self-explanatory. On to Phillips and Rawson in the defence. Rawson's bonuses are insane, and I do genuinely think that the Accrington side have a chance of at least 1 clean sheet in those games. Phillips as well, with the same fixtures as the Middlesbrough team have, but just in the reverse order. I think that they're great fixtures for Stoke, and even though Stoke aren't an amazing side at the moment, they've still got clean sheet potential, and they could just draw those games 0-0, and I would obviously be over the moon because I've got a lot of points out of clean sheets there. So like those fixtures for Stoke and for Phillips. Matu Siwa in midfield. Again, as I said earlier, his interceptions have just been insane recently. I feel like he's a pick that I can just put in there, not really have to worry about rotation. I hope anyway. I don't want to curse it. Feels like he should be getting 90s and he should be getting a lot of interceptions if he starts 2 games. So fingers crossed there that we've not cursed him, but feeling good about it. Then I've got Azaz. I really don't feel settled on it. I wish that I could put Hackney in, to be honest. But it just feels wrong to go without a Middlesbrough defender, given how good that defensive data is. So we've got Azaz in because I like his attacking data. It's just the fact that his form hasn't been amazing recently. I don't feel 100% settled on it. We could definitely end up swapping, and maybe we even look at the likes of Brooks, like from what Sam mentioned. But I don't mind Devlin as an option too. Maybe we could sneak him in there. It's just it feels like the Devlin train is almost past its stop, given the fact that he's just scored 2 goals last week as an interception-based asset. And then we've gone for Hadji right up front, but again, I could end up swapping this. If I could find room for Conway, I'd love to have him into, or Whittaker. And then Vopotnik too, he just feels a little bit more consistent. Do his 2 home games outweigh the fact that Hadji Wright is in such hot form at the moment? I'm not sure. I feel a bit better about Wright, but equally Vopotnik could be a really, really nice shout. So that's where we're at the moment. Don't be surprised if something changes. Honestly, I feel like I might just end up swapping, and maybe I end up suffering the same consequences as with Knight last week. And if I end up taking his Haz out, he goes and scores a mega haul. But that's where we're at. That's how I'm feeling the best at the moment, with the team looking like that. But it could swap so much, and there's just so many viable options this week. That's all that we've got time for in my Game Week 30 preview. Thank you so much for the support. Let me know as well if there's any assets that I missed out, because I feel like there's loads of picks this week that could be slept on that I definitely could have missed, because there's so many viable different team picks, different player picks, any differentials that I've not quite managed to pick up on. Do let me know. I'd love to hear. Good luck, lads. Hope you have a great week. We'll be here the same time, same place next week. Thank you for the support. Hit subscribe, hit like. Love you. See you next week. Peace.